What's going on, guys? It's been a while since I've done a Supercross update, basically since before Detroit or after Detroit. Had everything going on, haven't really put Supercross as a priority, but we're back at it, especially after last night in St. Louis, where pretty much it looks like the internet's going to burn down. Hey guys, Kyle Wolfe here with you once again with another video. We're going to break down St. Louis, the Dome at the America Center last night, the final Triple Crown of the year. Great night of racing. And there was a lot of storylines last night during the race that, everybody in the comments, everybody on the forum websites are all basically blowing up the servers because there's a lot of people that don't understand the rules and they don't know where to find the rule book. I do know where to find the rule book, and I'll show you guys where it says in black and white in the rule book what the wording is as far as everything that happened last night with the penalties and everything else. But we're just going to go through this, one by one, and we'll get to all the major incidents at the end of this video. But first off, we'll start with the 250 class. Levi Kitchen, second victory in a row, sweeps the Triple Crown. He's only the second guy to do that behind Faulkner, who did it 4 years ago. And he is taking a hold of that 250 West Championship, and it's pretty impressive. And, great storyline from him. He had pretty much what the dream ride is, for the previous few years with the Star Racing Yamaha guys. He said, you know what? I want to be the main guy. I want to be the top guy. I don't want to be second fiddle to Deegan as far as the attention goes or anything like that. So he moves over to Mitch Payton's Pro Circuit Kawasaki, and it's been paying off for him, and now he's had the red plate for a few rounds. He's going to carry it into this break before they resume in Nashville for the East-West shootout, and he's firing on all the cylinders right now. And Jordan Smith and RJ Hampshire, they got to do something to stop him, because not only is Kitchen riding well, he's getting the starts, and it showed last night in those Triple Crown races. Levi got the start every single time ahead of both of those guys. He didn't get all three hole shots. I think he got two of them. But either way, he's getting the starts on Hampshire and Jordan Smith, who were the two guys closest to him in that title fight. And, Jordan made a good run in the second main, but Hampshire never really gave himself a shot except for that third main, and Kitchen still walked on him. And I don't want to, talk negatively on those two guys, and especially with RJ. I spent time with him a few weeks ago down at the Baker's factory in Florida. Great dude. Wife was amazing. Kids are sweet. RJ's good dude. We all know that. We all know RJ. But as far as the racing goes, he needs to figure out a way to get a start on Kitchen and run with him. And the last couple rounds he hasn't done it. He didn't do it last night in the Triple Crown, even though he had that second place start in the third race. He didn't run with Kitchen, and right now Kitchen's in a position to win this championship. He'll run 250s next year, and then as far as I know, based on the ruling, even though AMA constantly changes this rule, Kitchen will be going 450s in 2026 per the rule. That could change, obviously. It's changed before. But if Kitchen wins this title, I think he'll get another year to race the 250s, and then by 2026 he'll be in the 450 class. But as far as right now with 2024, Kitchen's in prime position. He's riding amazing, and the West Coast has 3 races left for Hampshire, Jordan Smith, Thrasher, Shimoda. They've got to step it up and figure out a way to stop that guy. Speaking of Shimoda, he finally had a consistent race, and it was 3 races to really kind of right the ship. The starts were better. Starts were better than what they've been pretty much all year, with the exception of San Francisco, where he had a good start, then crashed, then the bike let go. He's doing better. I don't know what Honda needs to do to get that bike to start with the Cowie or with the Yamaha. It was better. It was definitely better. It was definitely a better performance from Joe, to what we expected coming into the season for him to be a championship level contender. So props to Joe. It was definitely a better ride. He's looking for more. I think once we get to outdoors in May, it'll be a different Joe Shimoda. I think for whatever reason, and this is the same pattern for him, Joe starts off rough in Supercross, and then he gets better at the end of the year. Outdoors, he comes out swinging every time. So I think Joe will be a different story come outdoors for sure. Supercross, something's got to be figured out with him as far as the beginning of the year goes. But props to him. Like I said, better performance, better than what he was showing at the beginning of the year for sure. 450 class, Eli Tomac finally getting that first win, and he did it in convincing style. He won 2 out of the 3 Triple Crown races, second in race 2. And if you guys were watching last night, you heard that crowd, that final lap of that race 3 when everybody knew he was going to win the overall. How could you not be pumped for Tomac in the comeback story that he has? And they mentioned it. They've mentioned it all year on the broadcast. It's been the Achilles from last year. You know, coming back from that, was he going to race? Was he not going to race? Was he retiring? Was he not? You know, for him to come back, and then, yeah, he struggled. He had some good races in there. He won one of the Triple Crown races at A2 earlier this year, but it just obviously wasn't the same Tomac that we're used to seeing. But for him to put in the rides that he did, give Jet a little bit of fit in that second race, yeah, Jet won it, but for him to put in that consistent performance and show flashes of the old Eli was great to see. The crowd loved it, obviously. You heard it on the broadcast, like I said. It was cool to see him back on top. And I'll admit, you know, when Eli was on Cowie's, I wasn't the biggest fan of his. And not that he, you know, not that he was, you know, a bad guy or anything like that, but just, you know, it's just like anything else. When one guy wins so much, it gets old, for one thing, and especially in the fashion that he was doing it, when he would go beast mode and just annihilate those guys. But Eli didn't always have the greatest attitude, you know, after the race when he was on Cowie, especially when he didn't win. Then that last year he was on Kawasaki, and then the 3 years now that he's been on Star Yamaha, it's been a different attitude. He's been more gracious to the fans, to the media. You know, still not great on social media, but as far as his overall demeanor at the races and, you know, taking what he can get, it's been a completely different Tomac where fans, you know, appreciate that more. And he improved his overall, you know, legacy basically, especially here in the next year or two once he retires. So I'm really happy to see Tomac back on the top step of the box. I am hearing that he's not going to run outdoors. Obviously, that's just a rumor, but I've got some pretty solid sources within the industry that are at the races all the time. Sounds like he's not going to do outdoors, but he is going to come back for Supercross next year in 2025. So if that's the case and he takes off the summer, gets himself regrouped, gets a little bit more time on that Yamaha, comes back out even better for 2025, and maybe wraps up a career with another title, that I'm all right with that, especially with the way he's carrying himself the last few years. I'm a bigger Tomac fan than I used to be. All right, let's get into the crux of why the internet is entirely burning down and why, you know, so many people don't understand racing and what the rules are, and they've never worked a race before. I can tell from comments, people that have been around or people that have just watched on this stuff, and they haven't had to be in the trenches, and they haven't had to be in the position that those AMA guys are in, those flaggers are in. They haven't had to be in that position before. I've been in that position before. I've been a referee. I've, you know, flagged on a finish line numerous times. I've been in that situation before. As far as the red cross flag goes, it was out before Jet comes around. There were guys ahead of him on the white flag. It was over a full lap that red cross flag was out, since they revert back to Anderson, who did it on the white flag lap. So that's nearly a full lap, and then Anderson does it again on the checkered flag lap. So that's over a full lap that red cross flag was out. You get 5 guys to do it, and what, 16 other ones, since Cincerella wasn't racing, you get 16 other guys that don't do it at all. That means that those guys saw it. There was enough time to see it. Yes, those 5 guys were in a race. They were in a battle. I get it. There were ruts on the face of that finish line takeoff. I get that too. And now I am going to find fault here on multiple sides of this thing. But as far as the riders go, ultimately it comes down to them to pay attention. You got to pay attention. And as far as the rule goes, I'll show you the rule right here. 1.6.14, flags and lights. AMA will use flags/lights as set forth in this section, providing competitors with information while on the racetrack during the event. A rider is considered to have received notice when the flag is raised. That's the key word here, raised. It does not say waving. It does not say throw it right in front of their face. It says raised. Sorry, I might have messed that up. It doesn't say waving. It doesn't say, yeah, like I said, throw it right in their face. But the wording is raised. So as long as it is within that, whatever the width is, 20 feet, 18 feet, whatever the width of the track lane is, as long as it is within that and it is out in plenty of time before a rider can get to the area, that is considered notifying the riders. So when the flag is raised or when the lights are illuminated, whether or not the rider has seen the flag/lights. So that puts it on the rider's responsibility to see the flag, to see the lights. It does not, like I said, it does not have to be waving. We don't have to wave the red cross flag, and you're not even supposed to wave the red cross flag because it has white in it. If you wave a red cross flag, more than likely guys are going to think it's the white flag because it's predominantly white. They see the edge of that flag. They don't look at the center of it. They see the edge of it and see white. So as far as that goes, the flag was out, and the guys need to pay attention to that. I've been in that situation before. I've been on the finish line. There's been a little bit more room coming out of a corner, and it was a slower track. It was an arena cross track. I had the flag out. Guys rolled the jump because there was a crash. Somebody comes from the back that should have seen that there was a crash since it was the next lane over and jumps the jump anyway and lands right into the pile. I had the flag out. I stood almost halfway into the jump to try and get the kid's attention. He still jumped into it anyway. Luckily, nobody was hurt. I disqualified the kid. There's no reason, no matter what age you are, if you are capable of jumping, that you shouldn't be able to see the flag going the pace that you are. On the flip side, like I said before, there were ruts. Those guys were racing. You know, it's a catch-22 in that instance, especially when you, and that's the first one of the few finish line jumps that the track design intentionally set for riders to jump from the inside in a while. It doesn't happen often anymore. Usually it's through the berm. You got to run the outside. So, you know, that plays a factor. However, from the AMA standpoint, because of the incident, since it was Vince Friese, why is it always Vince Friese? Every single time, almost, it's Vince Friese. However, Vince was off the side of the track. So if I'm the flagger in that instance, I'm either pulling the red cross flag down, or, especially since Vince was on the edge by the tough blocks, I take a step over so where they can't run next to that area, and not that there's barely any tire marks in that track lane anyway, on that part of the track. Take the yellow flag out. Take the yellow flag out, hold it, wave it, whatever you want to do. Wave the checkered flag, since that's the primary flag that the riders need to know about so the race ends. But since Vince is in the middle of the jump on the far edge, there doesn't need to be a red cross flag there. A yellow flag I'm fine with, especially since the riders are allowed to jump on a yellow flag. But there was a lot more, there was more overkill that was done for that incident than there absolutely needed to be given the situation. So I think ultimately, at the end of the day, because of the situation, because of the choice that the flagger on top of that finish line jump made, it is on the riders ultimately. However, I think some consideration needs to be taken in for the situation to where, hey, is the rider really in any danger? No. 20 out of those 21 guys that are still moving are going to jump that jump. Anybody that does not jump the jump are going to roll it, and they're not going to roll it all the way. They're not going to half jump it. They're not going to just half jump it and land in the pocket. They're going to roll the thing. So even if they roll the thing, they're going to see Vince there. They'll move over another foot, kind of check their surroundings to make sure nobody else is going to land on them, roll over the landing, and they're done. Race over. So I think there's a lot that could have been done to, mitigate that situation without affecting the outcome of the race. And like I said, it's one of those things where, I know the AMA has their protocols. Hey, if somebody's down here, red cross flag. If somebody's down here, yellow flag. I get that. That's not lost on me. I've been a part of meetings like that before. Yeah, it is what it is at that point. Ultimately, at the end of the day, because of the decision of the flagger on top of that finish line, it's on to the riders. But I think moving forward, now if Vince was in the middle of the jump, then yeah, absolutely, red cross flag it. But when he's on the edge and there's only one way to go, and it's to the left of him, because if you go to the right of him, you're going to land on the tough blocks, you're going to land in that manager's tower. So I think moving forward, I think the AMA kind of needs to think, hey, do we need to I know we need to err on the side of caution, but can we, maybe change this up a bit to be like, hey, if he's out of the way, let's let it go. And so I think for those guys, and and I think with Anderson at least for getting penalized twice because of it, I think that needed to be considered. Maybe I'd say the first time, okay, because it was it was right, it was more than likely right before Anderson got to the incident. That's a split second decision. So I think, okay, penalize Anderson the first time. I think the second time you let it go because there's still no danger there. The only danger there is if he decides to run right up next to the flagger, who's basically blocking where Vince is anyway. The flagger's out more than where Vince is. And if Anderson goes at an angle and intentionally lands on Vince, then yeah, white flag with red cross. So 1.6.14. This is section E, the white flag with the red cross or red flashing lights. This flag is a red flash. This flag or a red flashing light may be displayed at the beginning of a triple jump or series of jumps to indicate a potentially hazardous situation on or near the racetrack in an area that may not be clearly visible to oncoming riders. Okay, so since Vince is in the middle, on or near that's not visible. Fine. This flag indicates a significant safety concern and takes precedence over all other flags. Fair enough. Until the riders clear the incident. Like I said, Vince is in a precarious situation, but he's off the side of the track on a jump that you're either going to roll or you're going to double, but you're not going to half jump the thing. So here's my other discrepancy is with the AMA. Penalties are defined in section 3.1, violations and disciplinary action, if race direction determines that the violation was not blatant or takes place during a sighting or cool down lap, a warning or fine may be issued. Blatant. If anybody would have directly seen that flag, they would have rolled it. It's not like they saw the flag and said, screw it, and jumped the jump anyway. They're not paying attention. Yes, that is on the riders to be paying attention at all times. However, when it's off to the side like that, there isn't a huge urgency from that flagger. Like I said, he doesn't have to wave that flag, but the riders, it's not like they saw it and then said, oh well, and still jumped the jump anyway. That's not the point. They're not doing that. They're not, because for all they know, it could have been somebody that's in the points chase down, and it could have been on the other side of that jump right where they're going to land. They didn't see it, but they did not blatantly disregard the red cross flag or a set of red flashing lights. That's the thing. That word blatant needs to be really heavily considered here. All right, and then final point before I wrap this video up. I know it's been a long one. The Barcia Jet Incident. Okay, bottom line, the main question, in what universe does Barcia make that corner without Jet there? I don't think Barcia went in to intentionally just clobber the living crap out of Jet, but where was he going to go? That was entirely too much speed carrying into that corner to make the thing. The dirt's too good for him to slide the rear end around and still make the corner and make it out of there. Now, having said all that, I did hear from a couple of different people that in the previous corner, or two corners before that corner in particular, Barcia got into freeze. So the theory is, Barcia got into freeze, he knows, oh crap, that was Vince, so he was probably trying to get the heck away from him, and then he took entirely too much speed into that corner, and we end up with what we did. Again, I don't think Barcia went in there to maliciously just kill Jet and possibly ruin the rest of his season. However, if you're going to mess with Vince, then put him on the ground if that's what you're going to do. He's done it to everybody else. So if you're going to mess with Vince, make it count and get away from him. Don't nudge him and then piss him off. And then think, oh my God, I got to get out of here. And then pin it into the next corner and ruin somebody's, potentially ruin somebody's season. Now, on the flip side, there's comments all over. I see it from every angle, so don't, freak out on me. Jet did cut that turn tighter than what a lot of people were expecting, and probably what Barcia was expecting going into that corner. However, regardless, even if Jet doesn't cut down and runs the outside, okay, so Barcia misses the rear wheel and the rear tire by a couple inches. How is he still making it through that corner without going off the racetrack and going over that berm? That's the thing where I'm getting. I mean, you look at the video, his rear wheel's in the air. So he's only got front wheel for brakes, and he's got them locked up so hard that rear wheel's in the air. Whether he's using all of his front brake, or if he hit a hole and the rear end came in the air. So regardless of how much front brake he has, his rear end's useless anyway as far as the brakes are concerned. But regardless, you can't come into a corner that fast and slam somebody like that without coming to the realization that if he's not there, if the guy's not there, whether it's Jet or Kenny or whoever else, if said rider is not there, how are you making that corner? He wasn't even pivoted. He turned. The only reason his bike turned is because he had it leaned over enough to hit the brick wall that was Jet, and then the rear end spun around. He wasn't making that corner, I don't think. I'm sure you guys will, fight it amongst yourselves and, argue with me in the comments section. However, in what universe, back to the main question, does Barcia make that corner if Jet's not there to just T-bone? So that's the thing. Hopefully Jet's all right. Moving forward, he was able to finish the race, albeit, at 40%. But that, I'm going to be interested to see what happens, if anything happens as far as the AMA is concerned, because that was a brutal hit. I mean, I literally yelled, "Oh my God," when I saw that hit. And yeah, it was brutal. Let's be perfectly honest about it. That was a brutal, brutal hit. Like I said, I don't think Barcia went in thinking, "Hey, there's Jet, I'm going to kill him." He wasn't making that corner. Bottom line, I don't think he was making that corner. Maybe you guys think he was, but that was entirely too much speed for almost a 180 corner. That was just entirely too much. But if he was really trying to get away from Freeze, I get it. But if you're going to mess with Vince, make it count and get away from him. Not, like I said, give him a love tap and then think, crap, I got to get out of here. And then ruin somebody's race, ruin your own race, possibly mess up the motorcycle, break Jet's arm, ribs, his leg, whatever Barcia hit. But regardless, that was brutal. Thank you guys for watching. I know this one was a little bit long-winded with everything, but I appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share the video. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you on the next one.